Well, let me set it up this way. President Biden was asked about whether or not the nuclear facilities are in play, right, when Israel responds to the Iranian missiles. And here's what he said before we bring in Senator Rounds speaking to reporters. Here's the president.
The answer is no. I think there's things we'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do, but they should respond in proportion.
All right, so this is U.S. and key allies do consider new sanctions against Iran after it fired those ballistic missiles earlier in the week into Israel. The aforementioned Republican Senator Mike Rounds joins us now from the state of South Dakota, sits on Senate Intelligence. Thank you, Senator. I'm going to speak for a few minutes before we go to former President Trump on the campaign trail, especially about foreign policy in the Middle East. Let me start where the president left off there on the response and the U.S. role in advising Israel on its response and whether the nuclear sites should be in play. What's your view?
I think they should be in play. I would suspect that the Israelis believe that they are in play. They are a military target. There's no question about that. There's also some ballistic missile manufacturing facilities that should also be in play. But I think the Israelis, while they may be very, very careful about not irritating the United States, I don't think that they're necessarily paying attention to what the president is saying anymore because they disagree with his philosophy of appeasement. And I think in this particular case, even though the president probably thinks that this has a possibility of increasing the chances of a larger war, I think the fact that the Israelis have the capabilities, or at least we believe they could have the capabilities, to do some real damage to those nuclear facilities means that they're probably considering whether or not that should be a target.
If you're right and the Israelis, particularly Prime Minister Netanyahu, are not listening anymore, as you say, to President Biden, what's the impact of that, the United States president not having as much influence with the Israeli Prime Minister?
It's not what we want. It's not the way that it should be. We have to recognize that for Israel, what's happening over there is an existential threat to them. What Hamas was trying to do in terms of striking terror on their October 7th attack, the fact that Hezbollah has been chasing out literally people in the northern part of Israel now for months, well, going up on a year. It's time that we recognize just how serious this threat is to the state of Israel. We should be their biggest backer, and we should, if we're gonna admonish them, do it behind the scenes. Don't do it publicly.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.